This is Unit 5, Right Triangles, Lesson 5.5, Angles of Elevation and Depression. Remember, as you're watching this, to get the location of your video, date and time, and a parent, guardian, or signature sign-off. Let's review previous class material, and we're going to be working with more complex problems today. Remember your brain and hand techniques, finger track and read, and I always recommend you do that aloud. So read aloud with me. Every single time you reread something, it increases your comprehension. And make sure you highlight or underline keywords and phrases. Draw the diagram, label the diagram, list the given information, and then we do have need do. Ready? Let's do this one together. As I read, underline keywords and phrases. It says, in a triangle, STU, angle T is a right angle. The measure of angle U is 53 degrees. The side adjacent to U is 10 meters. Find the length of SU. Usually whatever we're trying to find, I like to box it and put a question mark. Do not allow your brain to shut down just because this is more than 5 words. What I recommend is you do something called chunking. You just take it one little piece at a time. Follow along. I'm going to do this one with you. So I just look in a triangle STU. T is a right angle. Ready? I'd like you to take 10 seconds and label that triangle. Okay, we know that T is the right angle. So here's S, T, and U. As you account for things, cross it out. That helps your brain not get so overwhelmed. It says you've accomplished something. It also helps you not lose details. It says right here, the measure of angle U is 53 degrees. So angle U, sweep it, 53 degrees. I counted for that, so you cross that out. This side adjacent to U is 10 meters in length, but not the hypotenuse. The side adjacent, that means next to U, is 10 meters in length. But it's not the hypotenuse. And our goal is, what is the length of SU? When you are done with the word problems I assign, honestly, the word problem itself should be completely mutilated. Now we do have, need, do after you label. That's the opposite side. That makes this adjacent. And SU is our hypo. We have the adjacent side. We need the hypo. That's an AH combo, so that's ka, which is cosine. You write exactly that down. We're looking for a side, so you're on the left side of your reference sheet. From here, you cross multiply, of course. Oops, hang on. From here, you have to do your plugins. Then you cross multiply. So plugins. Cosine 53. Look, I'm doing physical pickup. I'm actually circling parentheses over 1. Physical pickup, circle it, pick it up. I know some of you think that circling the physical pickup is silly. and a waste of time. But in 15 years of teaching and close to 3,000 students, students make simple mistakes because their eyeballs look at the wrong thing. Just by physically circling, that cuts down that simple mistake down to almost nothing. Now we cross multiply. Our goal is to get x by itself. And we're going to be taking 10 and dividing by cosine of 53. I want you to take, I'm going to wait 10 seconds and see if you can't do that by yourself on your calculator before I use mine. So we're going to go 10 divided by, on my calculator, I have to do 53 cosine, and then equals. And we get 16.616. I'm going to round to the second, that's 16.62. Let's recap angles of elevation and depression. That's really important. By the time we're done, you should be familiar with angle elevation, depression, of course, trig ratios. An angle of elevation starts at a horizontal and goes up. So trace the horizontal, arrow up. That would be an angle of elevation. An angle of depression starts at a horizontal, trace the horizontal, angles downward. That would be an angle of depression. Once again, an angle of depression starts at a horizontal and goes down. An angle of elevation starts at a horizontal and goes up. Because they both start at a horizontal, you should always know that the starting point of an angle of depression and elevation in themselves are both parallel lines. I'm going to wait 10 seconds. I'd like you to sweep an angle of depression and an angle of elevation and label. The angle of elevation is in blue. That starts at a horizontal and goes up. That's an elevation. Angle of depression starts at a horizontal and goes downward. That's an angle of depression. And these diagrams, again, I'd like you to label the angle of elevation and depression. Okay, elevation for both starts at a horizontal and goes upward. And this one, depression, starts at a horizontal and goes downward. If you look really carefully, a sect of angle of elevation to depression actually makes armpits of the Z. So look for their armpits. And if a horizontal doesn't exist, you can always draw it in. It's important you understand that. Now we're going to use the brain and hand techniques, which we finger track and read. Highlight, underline keywords and phrases. We draw, we label, we list, we do, have, need, do. I'm going to model 2 problems for you. You should read aloud with me. Finger track and read. It says, An airplane is flying at 5,000 meters altitude. 5,000 meters in altitude. The plane's angle of descent to the landing strip is 7 degrees. That would be an emergency fast landing. Normally it's not more than 5. We want to find the diagonal air distance the plane must travel to land using the angle of descent. Whatever we're trying to find, I always like to box. We want to find the diagonal air distance. Okay, we finger track in red, we underline. Now we draw one little step at a time. Those of you who get overwhelmed by word problems, I recommend you use these like little physical brackets and only focus on one sentence at a time. An airplane is flying at 5,000 meters in altitude. So we have an airplane. Many of you can do a lot better than I can, but that's my version of an airplane. 5,000 meters altitude. Altitude, it always creates a right angle. The word altitude and height always creates the right angle. So that is 5,000 meters. Now, I've accounted for that first sentence. So you cross it out. Get in the habit of doing that. Next one, chunk it. Says the plane's angle of descent, that means depression, make a little baby, horizontal going down to the landing strip is 7. So I'm going to make, here's my landing strip. I'm going to see how you draw that. Take 10 seconds, draw that yourself. Where is that angle of descent? Believe it or not, that angle of descent, again, it's horizontal going down. So you have to draw on the horizontal, and the angle of descent is horizontal going downward. That 7 degrees goes right there. Has to start at the horizontal and goes down. Find the diagonal air distance the plane must travel using this angle of descent. We want the diagonal air distance. So we are looking diagonal, keyword right there, air distance. And that's going to be our x. Okay, cross it out. Now we have no other additional information. We're going to label it now. And we see that's our x, but our degree is here. So we're going to take this 5,000 and transfer it over here. And we're going to make a rectangle, which we can always do. And just swing that around because those are parallel. Now using this triangle, we're going to label opposite, adjacent, and hypo. From 7, this is our opposite. That's adjacent. And x, of course, is our hypo. We've labeled. We have our list. Now we're going to do have, need, do. Again, when you're done with my word problems, they should be literally mutilated. If they're not, I know you're just copying and you're not actually thinking it through. Have. We have the opposite. We need the hypo. I'd like you to write out what we're going to do here. We have an OH combo. You should have written sine of theta over 1 equals opposite over hypo. You cross multiply. I mean, you do your plugins first. We're going to do right up here. It's sine of our angle theta, which is 7 degrees. Notice I did physical pickup over 1 equals opposite, physical pickup, over hypo, x. We cross multiply, and we get sine 7 degrees, keep parentheses around that, times x equals 5,000. Don't touch a calculator until x is by itself. So we have to divide by sine of 7 degrees. So whatever x is, it's going to equal 5,000 divided by the sine of 7 degrees. You can do that on your calculator as I do it on mine, and compare our answers. And we get 41,000 meters, 41,027.55. 41,027 meters, 0.55. 41,027 meters, 0.55. Okay, we're going to try another one. Again, following the finger track and read. So you should be, put your pencil right here where you can see it. Put your finger or pencil, and I'd like you to read aloud with me. Please read aloud. Tom is standing 400 feet away from a tree. He uses a clinometer to measure the angle of elevation from his eye level to the top of the tree to be 38 degrees. Tom is 5 feet 4 inches tall, and his eye level is 5 feet above the ground. How tall is the tree? Finger track and read. We're done. Highlight and underline. Let's highlight keywords. Tom's 400 feet away from a tree. He uses a clinometer, that's a new word, I'll introduce it, to measure the angle of elevation, 38 degrees. Tom is 5 feet 4 inches tall, and his eye level is 5 feet up above the ground. How tall is the tree? Okay, now we're going to take this very carefully and draw it. The word clinometer is this device. It looks like a backwards or underside protractor with a hanging plumb line. It is used to measure angles. As this clinometer is tilted, that plumb line moves to measure angles of elevation and depression. So we have here, again, chunky, Tom is standing 400 feet away from a tree. So we have some grounds, and we have Tom. And we have a tree. All right, now notice as I draw, I cross it out. Okay. Oh, 400 feet, we didn't account for that. So from Tom to the tree is 400 feet. Using the clinometer the angle elevation at his eye level. Now that's really key there because honestly, most measurements aren't made from the ground like we did in class where you had to lay on the ground to measure stuff. Most measurements are made on some sort of platform, tripod, or eye level. So from eye level, so draw a little dotted line straight across because he's actually taking his measurements from that eye level to the top of the tree. So up to the top of the tree. That, my friends, is 38 degrees. Tom is 5 feet 4 inches tall. And his eye level is 5 feet above the ground. How tall is the tree? Okay, so what we have here, if you look carefully, we kind of have this imaginary right triangle going right here. So we're going to label our opposite, adjacent, and hypo from here. From that angle, that would make from here to here, the little brackets there, because that's our triangle stops 5 feet short of the ground. That's our opposite. And this would be our adjacent. And this would be our hypo. Now, ultimately, we want the height of the tree, but notice the height of the tree consists of both the opposite and this little piece right here, which we have to account for. That's 5 feet. We'll talk about that at the end. But first, we're going to find the opposite, which is going to be our x. Kavni do. We have technically we have the adjacent because this creates a rectangle. That means we can pull this 400 feet here. We have the adjacent. We need the opposite. That's an OA. So we're going to do tangent. So copy exactly down the tangent equation. Now we circle plug tag, tangent of theta, circle your theta. Equals our opposite, which is going to be our x, over our adjacent, circle, that's 400. We cross multiply, and you see x is already by itself. That's just after cross multiplying, so at this point you can pick up your calculator. And that's going to be tangent of 38 times 400, which is 312.514, so it's 312.51. So x equals 312.51 feet. Now, very important, that's not the height of the tree because the tree goes all the way to the ground and that 312 only goes from here to here. So it stops short 5 feet. So to get the true height, we have to add. So your actual height here is 317.51 feet. Again, when you're done with my word problems, if you're truly thinking them through, you have chunked it, underlined, highlight, and crossed stuff out. You leave those word problems naked on the upcoming test, I will mark you down. Okay, this one. I like you to do this one completely on your own and then come back. So I want you to hit the pause button, do this one completely on your own, and then restart. Actually pause, do it on your own, restart. If you just watch the video, you're cheating and you're also shortcutting your learning experience and you're not really learning, you're just copying. So stop the video, do the work, and restart. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you did. It says a research vessel uses sonar to find an unknown object on the seafloor 1,000 feet diagonal distance from the hull of the ship. The angle of depression from the hull of the ship to the mystery object is 27 degrees. How deep is the object from the ocean surface? We just finger tracked and read. Notice I read aloud. Now we underline. We have a research vessel. We have an object on the seafloor that's 1,000 feet diagonal distance from the hull of the ship. Angle of depression from the hull to the object, 27 degrees. How deep is the object from the ocean surface? That is our question. Okay, now we draw a label list. We have a research vessel and we have water. So let's draw some water, or you should have drawn some water. Some sort of research vessel, and we have ocean floor. So here's our ocean floor. So the sonar sounds, and we find a mystery object. There's our mystery object, 1,000 feet diagonal. Did you catch that word diagonal when you do this? 1,000 feet diagonal. So from here, from the hull of the ship to the mystery object is 1,000 feet. Notice I'm crossing it out. The angle of depression, which is horizontal going down, 27 degrees. So horizontal going downward, 27 degrees. And we want the depth of the object. Depth is the same as height. Depth and height always creates a right angle. So there is our X. We label opposite, adjacent, and hypo. That is going to be our opposite. So now we're going to do have, need, do. We have the hypo. We need the opposite. So we're going to do, we have an OH combo. You should have written sign. Now we do circle plug chunk. So we have sine of theta, 27 degrees, over 1 equals opposite, which is our X, over hypo, which is 1,000. Cross multiply. This one, your X is already by itself, so we're going to do sine of 27 times 1,000. Should check your work. So I'm going to go to, on my calculator, it's 27 sine times 1,000. And you should have gotten 453 feet, 0.99. It rounds right there, so that is 453 feet, 0.99 9. Here's your answer. Now, I want you to take 2 minutes and verbally summarize what you've done. Actually do this. Studies show this significantly improves your retention if you actually take the time to do this. So flip through your notes, take 2 minutes and summarize what you learned, and then take a moment to close your eyes and visualize your solution to a single problem. By closing your eyes and visualizing that, that is like the glue, taking a hot hair dryer to glue and drying it real fast. That's going to make this information really stick in your brain. So please take the time to do the 2 minutes summarizing and reflection.